everybody, and I want to welcome everyone to this episode of the Booze Geek. My name is Chuck, and I am your host. And before I get started, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like the episode, well, hit that like button too. Give us a big thumbs up, and I'm going to thank you all in advance. So, this happens every year. Happens every year like clockwork. 'Tis the season of the gourd. 'Tis the season of the pumpkin. It's pumpkin season. So what does that mean? That means that every brewery that you've heard of, and probably every brewery that you've never heard of, is making some sort of pumpkin concoction, some sort of pumpkin beer. So what are we tasting on this episode? A pumpkin beer. However, this is my first pumpkin beer of the season, so I don't know if I'm ahead of the game or behind the game. I have no idea, but it's my first. So what are we tasting? Well, we are tasting a pumpkin beer from 21st Amendment Brewing, and they are located up north in San Leandro, California, the Bay Area. So let me grab the beer. So from 21st Amendment, this is their spooky pumpkin haze. Ooh. So this beer, like the purple can too. So this beer, this is a hazy pumpkin IPA. This beer clocks in at 6.8% ABV. However, I do not know the IBU or the hops that are used to make this beer. It's a big pumpkin secret. Well, it may or may not be a secret, but either way, I do not know. So who knows? But anyways, let's get this review started and let's crack the top on this pumpkin haze. Here we go. Boom, boom. 1, 2. 1, 2. A little bit of smoke, Let me get a nice little pumpkin pour here. And I'm going to precursor this review with saying, when it comes to pumpkin beers, there are generally two categories of pumpkin beers. Category number one are the beers that are brewed to taste like pumpkin, just straight up pumpkin, like they're brewed with pumpkin puree. Category number two are the beers that are brewed to taste like a freshly baked pumpkin pie coming out of the oven. So you may get some hints of pumpkin, but you're also going to get baking spices like cinnamon, clove, allspice, things like that. And, well, you could say there's a third category, which are the oddball ones that taste like a mishmash of something else, maybe with some pumpkin in it. And there are a lot of those on the market too. But generally, two different categories. So let's see what category this falls into, starting with the color. Well, it's a hazy. We're not seeing through that. Although, I gotta admit, it's a hazy, but the color looks like just a general hazy color. I thought it'd be a little bit more orange-ish. It's not. It's almost like a golden straw, which is interesting. And we have next to no carbonation on top, some soap suds floating on top that are pure white. But let's give this a nose. Let's give it a swirl. Let's give it a nose, and let's see where we're at. Here we go. Nose number one, spooky. Okay. Try again. Okay, well, we are first and foremost getting some hints of the pumpkin puree. We are also getting a little bit of baking spice. There's a little bit of allspice, very, very little. And just a touch of clove. But more or less, it is the general pumpkin nose coming off. The pumpkin aroma. But one more swirl, and let's give this beer a sippity sip. So we're prosted. We're prosting to the season of the pumpkin, the season of the gourd. Here we go. Prost! Could this one fall in the category number 3? We're going to find out. Medium-bodied beer. Now, what are we getting flavor-wise? Yes, we are getting pumpkin. Now, this doesn't taste... Okay. We're getting a reminiscence of pumpkin pie. Let me start with that. But, so we are getting a little bit of that pumpkin puree and a little bit of some baking spices. I said a little bit of that clove is coming through, that anise. A little bit of that allspice is coming through. But this is interesting. Now, since we're getting some of the spice, we're actually not getting that much of the spice that I would put it in the pumpkin pie category. Now, we're also not getting just the pumpkin, where I would put it in the pumpkin ale, the pumpkin puree category. So I hate to say this, but I think this beer is going to go into the oddball category 3 of the pumpkin beers, which is the fluke category. Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad beer by any means. I'm not. But you generally think of the two main categories, and then there's this oddball category on, category number 3. So with that, what would I give this on the pintometer? I always said the pumpkin meter. No, the pintometer. This is not a bad beer. I just wish they would have picked one of the two categories and either stuck to the pumpkin category or the pumpkin pie category instead of kind of mishmashing it in the middle. I really wish they would have picked one. It would have been a better beer. On the I almost said pumpkin meter again. On the pintometer, I am going to give this beer a 6. I am going to give this beer a straight 6. Like the car engine, a straight 6. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. This beer is a good idea. Needs a little bit of tweaking. Like I said, I wish they would have picked one of the categories and stuck with it and really kicked some booty on one of those categories. But with that, I'm sticking to that number, and I recommend everyone go try it and give it their own opinion. But I'm taking one more quick sip. I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode. And as always, you can follow me at the websites, which are www.pubsofacquaintance.com, or the blog, which is www.pubsofacquaintance.blogspot.com. And with that, I am raising the pint, baby. We will see you on the next episode. Cheers, prost, enjoy those pumpkins, and enjoy!